Hi everyone, I'm Jordan and this is Old Legacy. We post news and updates across all sports. For links to articles and our socials, visit the links in the description down below. If you like what you see and or hear, then please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Today I'm joined with two of our team representatives on the gridiron side, Phil, who covers the Minnesota Vikings and University of Minnesota, and Liam, who covers the Kansas City Chiefs and Oklahoma State University. If you do not know me, I cover the Philadelphia Eagles and New Orleans Saints and Penn State University. We're going to go over a recap of this week's news around the gridiron. Former Heisman winning running back Charles White passed away on Wednesday at the age of 64. We send his friends and family our condolences. The Baltimore Ravens and All-Pro linebacker Roquan Smith agreed to a 5-year contract extension worth $100 million with $45 million guaranteed. The NFL announced in the event of a Bills-Chiefs AFC Championship game, it will be played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. The NFL Players Association revealed their inaugural All-Pro team this week, which is voted on by the players. Pro Football Focus and the Associated Press also revealed their All-Pros for the 2022 NFL season. The Houston Texans fired head coach Lovie Smith after 2 seasons with the team. One of those, he served as the associate head coach and defensive coordinator. The Arizona Cardinals fired head coach Cliff Kingsbury after 4 seasons with the team. The Cardinals also parted ways with their general manager Steve Keim after 24 years with the team. The New York Jets and offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur have parted ways after 2 seasons. The Washington Commanders fired offensive coordinator Scott Turner after 3 seasons. The Tennessee Titans fired offensive coordinator Todd Downing after 2 seasons as the offensive coordinator and 2 seasons as the tight ends coach. The Cleveland Browns fired defensive coordinator Joe Woods after 3 seasons. The New England Patriots gave Gerard Mayo a multi-year contract extension to continue to be the team's defensive coordinator. Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator Dean Pease announced his retirement from coaching after 19 seasons of coaching in the NFL. Congrats on an amazing coaching career. Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren was hired as the Chicago Bears' new team president and CEO. The College Football Hall of Fame unveiled the class of 2023. The class includes quarterback Michael Bishop, quarterback Tim Tebow, running backs Reggie Bush, LaMichael James, Brian Westbrook, and D'Angelo Williams, wide receivers Jeremy Maclin and Terrence Mathis, offensive linemen Robert Gallery and Bryant McKinney, defensive linemen Dwight Freeney and Bill Kohler and Corey Moore, linebackers Derek Johnson, Luke Kuechly, Michael Stonebreaker, defensive backs Eric Berry and Troy Vincent, as well as coaches Monte Cater, Paul Johnson, Roy Kramer, and Mark Richt. Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin was released from the Buffalo Hospital Wednesday and will continue to recover at home. Great news for the Hamlin family. Former running back and fullback Peyton Hillis has been taken off a ventilator and is recovering, according to his girlfriend. Hillis was in a swimming pool incident after saving two of his children who were caught in a riptide. We all send all the love and support to Hillis, his friends, and his family. Derek Carr posted a heartfelt message on Thursday saying goodbye to Raiders Nation. This comes after it was reported that the Raiders are looking at the trade market for Carr. Despite rumors and speculation surrounding the Los Angeles Rams head coach Sean McVay possibly retiring, he did in fact inform the team he's not leaving. So now I'm going to go ask our team representatives, Phil and Liam, a couple questions. So, Phil, do you think you can win the Super Bowl this year with Kirk Cousins as your quarterback?
So everybody always dogs on Kirk Cousins. Like, it's his fault that our defense is letting up 400 yards a game. Honestly, if Kirk can do what he's done all season, and I think we can go to Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is not the only issue. He's not really, to me, this season, he hasn't been the issue. The defense is what's going to make us not get to the Super Bowl. There's been times, where the offense is kind of stalled out, but it's not all on Kirk Cousins. Our line has been shoddy at best at those times, but our defense is going to be the reason that we don't win the Super Bowl. It's not going to be because of Kirk Cousins.
So if you lose in the first round, what's the number one item on the agenda you are looking forward to fixing this offseason?
Well, it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball. The big thing that we have to do on the defense is we have to start bringing in players that are focused on the 3-4 because the Vikings just switched from the 3-4 or from the 4-3 to the 3-4, and they kept a lot of the same players. Eric Kendricks is a good middle linebacker, but he is not a 3-4 middle linebacker. Daniil Hunter is not an outside linebacker. He is a defensive end, hand in the dirt, get around the corner. So I think they have to, I don't want to say revamp the defense because we still have players in place, but we have to bring in players that can play a 3-4 defense, whoever the defense coordinator is next season. We have to fix the defense.
If you win this week against the Giants, who would you like to face in the divisional round?
Seahawks. I just think
Seahawks,
that
yeah.
I think not taking away anything from Geno Smith. He came in basically had the same team that Russell had, plus some new acquisitions on the O-line, and he was able to get them to the playoffs, and they did, they did well.
If you win, who's the last team that you would like to face in the divisional round?
49ers, that defense. Like, I'm not too worried about Brock Purdy because he's a game manager, but that 49er defense is good.
Yeah,
not really worried about Dallas is Dallas, but Dak will fold under the pressure as usual. And Tom Brady's getting up there in age, but that 49er defense has me worried.
Yeah, I mean, as an Eagles fan, I mean, I don't want to face that defense, but but I don't know. I don't know how far Brock Purdy can go. I really don't know. He's a rookie at the end of the day. I know people would say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. They got such a great team around them. You got Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, amazing O-line, it's amazing pass rush. Like, eventually he's gonna fold, and he hasn't really faced any like good talent. So I don't. He hasn't faced many good defenses, I should say.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, he's gonna go play Seattle, and he's already shown that he can beat them. They don't have that great of a defense. They have some stars here and there, and I think they have potential in the future. They just don't have the potential now. And if they go play the Minnesota Vikings, I mean, no offense, your defense is not very
I know
good.
our defense is terrible.
Yeah, and I think he could cakewalk to the NFC Championship game, and if he doesn't play the Eagles, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they went to the Super Bowl, but I don't expect them to win the Super Bowl. And I mean, I told you guys this a couple weeks ago. I know our 49ers rep, Caitlin, she was very adamant on giving him a chance, but I just can't see any rookie in my lifetime doing that.
No, especially picked that late in the draft. Like, you were picked that late for a reason. You're a project. And the fact that he's done as decently well as he has now, plus the playoffs is a completely different beast. It's the pressure of you win or you're done. Where in the regular season, if you win, whatever, there's next week.
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask Liam a couple questions. How do you feel about having the bye week? Congratulations.
I really enjoy having the bye week, so just sit back and watch all the other playoff games and how they unfold and see who the Chiefs draw for the divisional round. And it gives time for some of our players to heal some banged up injuries. I know McCole Hardman has been dealing with like a oblique groin type injury, so giving him that extra week will help get him back. And just 17 games in a season is a lot, so having that extra bye really just benefits the whole team.
I'm sure that won't give Andy Reid a little too much time. I mean, he's already like a Hall of Fame head coach. He doesn't need more time.
I mean, Andy Reid is great coming off byes, so it's just another benefit, really.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I feel you about the bye. I just heard today that Lane Johnson is probably going to play, Josh Sweat's probably going to play, and the Eagles are probably going to be completely healthy. So it's a great feeling to have the bye.
Yes.
Um, who would you like to face in the divisional round?
To be honest, I would Jacksonville really. Like just looking at their roster, I'm like, yeah, they won their division, but they took the division from the Titans, Colts, and Texans, who aren't, great teams. And the Chiefs have already showed that they can beat the Jags by double digits. And I'm not going to say Trevor Lawrence is bad because he's showing a lot of potential this year, but I don't think he's ready for that playoff atmosphere, especially coming to Arrowhead.
No, I agree. I think Trevor Lawrence, and I've said it before, he's like on level of Andrew Luck in terms of their potential, and like Peyton Manning and John Elway. But they those guys had their rust too. They just gotta kick off some rust. They just gotta get used to that NFL atmosphere, and I think Trevor Lawrence can do that eventually. I don't know if they can do that this year, but who is the last team you'd like to face in the divisional round?
Um, it has to be the Chargers because divisional opponents, they give us trouble every year, and it's extremely hard to beat the same team 3 times in one season. And yeah, we already beat them twice, but we beat them by a combined 6 points in both games. And Herbert's a stud, and he can just pick apart that Chiefs defense.
Oh yeah, Chargers are no joke, but I mean Brandon Staley as head coach. I mean, I don't
Oh,
know. I don't know. I mean, are you more worried about Justin Herbert completely picking you apart, or are you worried about your team being outcoached by Brandon Staley?
it's not that I'm worried about being outcoached by Staley. That's not at all the thing is, but I'm just hoping like if we do have to play the Chargers that they don't go into that game thinking, oh, we've already beat them twice, it's going to be a cakewalk because that's when your team gets beat.
Right. All right, now I'm going to move on to the questions directed towards everybody. I'm going to start since I'm here with Liam. What are your thoughts on the national championship?
It was embarrassing. It was. I'm an Oklahoma State fan, like you said earlier, so I root for the Big 12 and bowl games, and to see a Big 12 team play like that and just get destroyed, it was embarrassing, not just for TCU, but the whole Big 12. It was just awful. And I feel like you could have taken any of the top 10 teams ranked, and they would have at least not lost by 58 to Georgia. I don't think anybody was going to beat Georgia, but they could have at least made it a little closer.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think anyone would beat Georgia either. I know people said, "Oh, well, Michigan could have been in, or you could have redone Ohio State and Georgia," but realistically, I I just don't think anyone was gonna beat them.
No.
Georgia's just been fantastic all year long, and I mean they've been perfect. Phil, what do you think?
I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm not a Big 12 fan coming from the Big 10. I mean, what is the Big 12? It's got like 6 teams now, so who really cares about it? But um, Georgia's just proved all year and in the national title game, like they are unstoppable. You know, you don't see many teams going back to back anymore. It's college football is way too competitive. It's way too close to get a back to back champion, and for them to go back to back like they did was rather impressive. They completely destroyed TCU. And everyone's saying like, oh, you know, Michigan had a chance. They had their chance to beat TCU and they didn't. They failed. They lost. So get over it. TCU was the team and that's what happens when you get 4 teams in the playoffs. I know that they're expanding to 6 and everything like that. And I know Alabama fans are going to cry and be like, oh, we should have been in. You can't put a 2-loss team unless you absolutely have to into the playoffs. So it is what it is. But I mean, it just proves that the SEC and more importantly this year and last year, Georgia is king, and I mean, there's no stopping Georgia.
Now, Phil, how do you think that impacts the Big 12's chances in the college football playoffs in the future?
I don't think it's really going to stop anything. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's going to change. Like, oh, they're from the Big 12. You can't send them. The hell you can. If they're still the second, third, fourth best team, fifth, sixth, whatever the playoffs is going to, you still have to send them. It doesn't matter what conference they're from. I mean, if someone from, well, maybe not whatever conference, but someone from the Big Five conference has a good enough record and deserves to be in the playoffs, you let them in the playoffs. You can't just let someone in because they're from the Pac-12, Big 12, whatever. I mean, it can't just be SEC versus Big 10 every year. So I don't think it really hurts, and it shouldn't hurt. It shouldn't hurt any Big 12 champion moving forward.
Liam, how do you feel about that, being an Oklahoma State fan?
I mean, I agree with what Phil said. Like, if your team is good enough and ranked up there, especially with the playoffs expanding, you can't not put them in. If you're a Big 12 champion with no losses or whatnot, you have to put them in, really, especially with it expanding. Thing about TCU, though, is they didn't even win their conference. They didn't win the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you guys. I think social media is not. I think social media, every year you're gonna have, like, you might have a TCU next year, might have Oklahoma State next year, might have, whoever wins the Big 12. Think I think social media is gonna have an outcry of, oh, we want Bama in. We want a Bama team who's got 2 losses on our resume over this team who's undefeated. Look at who they play. And that's just the way social media is. Liam, do you think this game affects Stenson Bennett's draft stock? He's projected a late round draft pick, possibly undrafted right now. What do you think?
I feel like it won't hurt. I feel like it will actually somewhat benefit because, like, anytime you win back-to-back championships, it's going to help you going forward. And then to do what they did in that championship game, what did he have? 6 total touchdowns, 4 passing, 2 rushing. Yep. Anytime you do that in the biggest game of the year, you're going to turn some heads.
Phil, what do you think? Stenson Bennett's draft stock?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Liam. I don't think it's going to hurt it at all. But he's, at the same time, he's 25 years old. He's been in college football now for, it feels like, a million years. So it's not gonna, the game isn't gonna hurt it. It probably will help, but I don't think it's gonna help it enough to bump him up, to anything past day 3, really.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen winners get drafted pretty high just based off how they won. We've seen winners just not get drafted at all. Even guys like Derrick Henry, I mean, that's a running back, so it's kind of a bad example. But we've had, like, quarterbacks like Dwayne Haskins, for example, rest in peace to him. A lot of Ohio State quarterbacks is what I'm saying. They get drafted pretty high just based off the fact that they've been winning. Stenson Bennett just, I don't think he has the intangibles to really win in the NFL. He could be a winner, and I think that's why a team will draft him. You might see a team like the Patriots, who have a history of winning, go and say, hey, we'll get this guy as a backup. It's a hypothetical situation. You might see the Buccaneers go and draft someone. They might might keep Tom Brady, have this guy sit right behind him. I think the best case scenario for him is he sits on the bench and he learns from a veteran quarterback. Because if he can do what Brock Purdy's doing right now, then, I mean, he'll be a starter in this league for a long time. I'm not saying Brock Purdy's a starter in this league for a long time, but as long as he's showing that he's got that dog in him, I think someone's definitely going to take a chance on him. Now, Phil, what do you think about Max Duggan's draft stock? How does this affect that?
Originally, I had no written down. I don't think it's gonna, like, kill it. to make him a super late pick, but I know it's not going to help. He he didn't play that great, but then again, none of TCU did. Their defense played terrible. I mean, it just goes to show that Georgia was that dominant that they dominated on all aspects of the game. So how much can it really hurt one player's um, draft stock moving forward? Like I don't think it's going to hurt it a lot. It might have hurt it a little bit, showing like, oh, he can't show up in a big time game. I mean, you've seen Ohio State quarterbacks show up in a big time game in, the college championship, and they get to the NFL and then do what? They do nothing. So I don't think it's gonna. Obviously, it didn't help it, but I don't think it's gonna hurt it as much as people think it will.
Liam, how do you feel about Max Duggan?
I mean, I agree. I don't see that necessarily that one game is going to drop him incredibly low. The only really concern that I have isn't even like based off that game. It's just Big 12 quarterbacks don't exactly have the best track record going into the NFL. Like Brandon Weeden, for example, he was an early pick. People expected him to be great, and he's out of the league. So I just feel like people are going to have a hard time taking chances on a Big 12 quarterback that may or may not succeed.
Yeah, I mean, Max Duggan, I didn't have many quarterbacks in this draft. That's something that I'll post about later on. I'm not very high on a lot of quarterbacks in this class. Even I have Bryce Young as the best quarterback of this draft, but that's not really saying much. I think it's better than last year, but I don't think it's that great. But I will say Max Duggan kind of impresses me. He is a fighter. He's someone that if you put on a team and you look like you're gonna lose, he's just gonna rally the troops and try his best to win. I don't blame Max Duggan at all for that loss. I agree with you guys. I think Georgia was just that much better. I would definitely draft Max Duggan. I think he has potential. I I think this might hurt his draft stock a little bit, just because someone might be like you said, they might think he's Brandon Weeden in 2.0, or something on that level. Like a Big 12 quarterback doesn't have that great of a track record with the NFL. Now, hypothetical situation, in their primes, 2022 Georgia or 2019 LSU head to head, who do you think's going to win, Liam?
Um, that one's a tough one, but I feel like it would be LSU. Like, as of right now, it would be LSU because just looking at how much NFL talent was on that team, you don't necessarily know how well the Georgia team is going to translate to the NFL. And I just feel like LSU would have been the better team.
Phil, what do you think?
Yeah, it's hands down LSU 2019. I mean, you look at yeah, I know we're not supposed to compare NFL to college because everyone thinks, Alabama's best years, they can beat the Detroit Lions when they won 0-16. No, you couldn't. But I think the 2019 LSU team was stacked. Like, there's no comparison. You got Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow throwing them the football. Yeah, hands down 2019 LSU.
Yeah, I agree. I think Georgia's defense has a real good shot to keep it a competitive game. I don't think their offense necessarily can keep up with LSU's offense. Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. That was an amazing team. Which two teams do you think are making the 2024 college football playoffs, and who do you think wins, Phil?
I don't know. Georgia's losing a lot of. I think they're losing a lot of players this year, but it's hard to go against Georgia. I mean, being down here, that's all you see is go Dogs. it's whatever. But um, Michigan's not losing. I could see Michigan. I could see Michigan, Georgia. I could see Georgia, Ohio State, or I could see, I don't know what Penn State's bringing in. I know that they finished up there, um, but Alabama. I don't know. I haven't looked enough at the recruiting classes to really be able to give a great answer. But I would early right now. I would probably say Georgia and Michigan.
How about you, Liam?
Um, I definitely agree with the Georgia part. Like 2 straight years, it's going to be hard to like bet against them. And for the second team, I feel like after all of the trying to bid to get in with 2 losses, that's gonna make the Alabama team with Nick Saban even more dangerous. I feel like they're gonna be irritated that they weren't picked this year, and they're gonna be a dangerous team to beat next year. And depending on how that shakes out, I would probably go with Bama winning it.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Getting back to what Phil said about Penn State, Sean Clifford is not going to be our quarterback next year. Hallelujah. Oh man, Sean Clifford really held back this team. Everybody's returning. Mostly everybody is returning. There's some weapons on offense that aren't, but it's not enough to be a big impact. And Drew Aller's coming back at quarterback. Like if he can really be that a 5-star quarterback, and be the best quarterback we've seen at Penn State in a long time, probably since Kerry Collins. I mean, if we do have a shot, um, I don't know if we can compete with Georgia. I also think Georgia's probably going to be back in it. Wouldn't be. I'm. I don't know why my gut's telling me Tennessee might do something. Um, Bama is always just going to be up there. Michigan, I really think I think it's probably going to be Michigan and Georgia. Um, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Alabama's um, recruiting, and who knows what's going to happen to the transfer portal. I don't know who else. I don't know who's going where. This is an amazing year. NIL deals are crazy right now. So I'm going to say Georgia. And I think Georgia still wins. I think Georgia three-peats. I think it's Georgia over Michigan. Now, Liam, which two team or this was we'll shift this to the NFL now. This was a historic year of running the football. It was the most rushing yards in league history. Why do you think that is, and how could that play into teams' decision making in the future?
I feel like it was a lot of rushing because like you have so many of these young gunslinging quarterbacks like Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, just to name a few, and then the defenses are going to be heavy on stopping the deep ball, stopping the pass, dropping more into coverage, and that's going to open up the running lanes between the tackles, a little pitch outside, and you have plenty of room to run. And I feel like with the defenses playing like that, they're going to have to adjust and figure out a better way to make sure you can cover both the deep ball and the rush.
Bill, what do you think?
That's exactly what I think too. More teams are loading up on the back end because they're worried about the passing yards. They're worried about giving up the big pass plays. You got Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, DK. I mean Jamar Chase when he was healthy. Like teams are more worried about giving up the big pass than they are giving up the big run. So that takes away from them trying to stop the run. So they're not as worried about having those linebackers that can fill the gap and go and get, tackle the runner from, behind. That too. I mean, tackling seems to have kind of, they don't really care. They only care about laying the big hit instead of actually wrapping and driving through. So missed tackles aren't helping, but I think it's more a passing league now than it has been in the past, and teams are worried about defending the pass and not the run.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's very hard to dispute any of that. I also think it has to do with there's teams switching styles of quarterbacks. I know I mentioned this a couple weeks ago when we were all talking, but quarterbacks just seem to be teams seem to be going after quarterbacks that are dual threats more than they were before. And you look at a lot of the top teams right now in the league, they either have a dominant run game or a dual threat quarterback because that's just how it is nowadays. If you have just a pocket passer, they need to be like nearly perfect. They can't turn the ball over. And that, I mean, look at Tom Brady. The reason the Buccaneers are in the playoffs is because Tom Brady's still really good at football. And he's been efficient. He's still been efficient. Not as efficient as prior years, but he's still that guy. Even though they have the worst run offense in the entire NFL. But teams like the Eagles with Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, great offensive line. Niners with Christian McCaffrey, even at the beginning of the year with Elijah Mitchell, Josh Wilson Jr. Doesn't matter who is in the backfield. I mean, that offense revolves around the run. Um, I mean, even the Vikings. We all talk about Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, but Dalvin Cook's still back there. Dalvin Cook is still really good. The Bengals with Joe Mixon, they still have Joe Mixon. Um, Bills have Josh Allen, dual threat. Chiefs, any Andy Reid style offense has some reliancy on the run game, so regardless of who the running back is. But teams are just really, really pushing for either you need a dual threat quarterback or you need a good run game. So a lot of firings have happened in the NFL over the past couple weeks and this whole season as a whole. The Panthers, Colts, Broncos, Texans, Cardinals, they all have openings at their position. Who do you think the Panthers are going to hire as their head coach and why, Phil?
I think with the stellar defense that they have, I think the Panthers are going to go defensive coordinator. I think they're going to go with the Broncos defensive coordinator. I don't know how to say his first name, but Evero. He showed that even with the Broncos' terrible offense that Hackett tried to destroy, the defense kept them in the games, and I think that is going to get him hired by the Panthers because the Panthers have that outstanding defense already. I won't say outstanding, but they have the pieces on defense to make them a good defense, and I think that that's the route that they're going to go.
Liam, what about the Colts? Who do you think the Colts are going to hire as their head coach?
I would probably go with Eric Bieniemy because he's been interviewed so many times the past few years, Chiefs offensive coordinator, but he would never get that job. And I feel like the Colts are just missing a decent head coach, really. They had Jeff Saturday, who never coached professionally, college, whatever. So I feel
great coach. Great coach.
So I feel like they can get just an offensive coordinator to help that offense and then be able to somewhat piece together what the defenses will be doing. I feel like Eric Bieniemy would be very beneficial to the Colts.
Phil, how about the Broncos? The Broncos are probably going to need a head coach. Who do you think?
Sean Payton. I think if Sean Payton comes out of retirement to coach anybody, it's going to be the Broncos. I think that they just have, of the teams that need a head coach, they have the best situation.
Yeah, I'm the only thing I'm worried. I don't know if the Broncos are going to be able to offer that more than a first round pick to the Saints. That's one issue I think that are holding back the Broncos from saying, yeah, they're getting Sean Payton. And I don't know where they're going to pull that draft pick out of. But that's one thing they need. I do agree with you. I think Sean Payton is probably going to go there. But they just need to figure out some compensation. Liam, what about the Texans?
I mean, I feel like whoever you put in that head coaching job with that roster, it's going to be several years before they're somewhat relevant again. So I don't even really know who to even plug into that role, to be honest. I mean, like, you have David Mills at your quarterback. Like, you need it's more than just a head coach at this point. And giving up on Lovie Smith after what, 1, 2 seasons with that roster, I don't know who else would want that job or would be willing to take it.
Yeah, I was a little shocked that Lovie Smith got fired. I thought he did the defense pretty well. He was competing with teams who are deep into the playoffs, us on both the NFC and the AFC. They just weren't winning those games, and I just it didn't make sense to me. I think they should, if they're really going to fire Lovie Smith, they definitely shouldn't go with a defensive-minded coach. You need to go offensive-minded coach because defense looked pretty solid. Then again, it's Lovie Smith's defense. So I think they should definitely go with an offense, some sort of offensive-minded coach. Phil,
Plus,
how about the Cardinals?
who would even
Go
want
ahead.
who would even want to go to coach the Texans? That's 2 years in a row they've fired their head coach after a season. And the roster, like you guys have said, is absolute trash. So they should probably fire the GM as well. Just my opinion on that one.
It is. That's actually what I was thinking, that they should definitely fire the GM, if anyone. I mean, they tried last year and 2 years ago going after veteran guys to try and fill that roster with just veteran talent, see if it would work. They signed Mark Ingram. They got Brandon Cooks. I mean, they thought they could do something, but it wasn't going to work. I know Jonathan Gannon was in talks the last time to be the head coach, and you know what? Go ahead, take him, please. I I know I don't want him as my defensive coordinator, and if the Eagles lose in the playoffs, I'm saying this right now on video. If the Eagles lose in the playoffs, it's because we're getting picked apart slowly on defense, sorry. Like someone like Tom Brady is just gonna like little dump passes here and there, and that's what's gonna end up beating us. Go hire Jonathan Gannon. Phil, what about the Cardinals?
They can take Ed Donatel. The
Oh
Cardinals.
yeah,
I think the Cardinals go offensive side of the ball. I actually think that they're gonna go after Eric Bieniemy. Um, it, I was reading. He's been interviewed for a head coaching job 14 or 15 times now. So I don't know if people just don't trust him because everyone knows that Andy Reid is calling the offense. Um, but I think it's time for him to get that shot, and I think the Cards are the team that's going to give him that shot.
yeah. I think Bieniemy. I've never been high on Bieniemy. I mean, I'm gonna ask Liam this question after about Bieniemy, but I just don't. I feel like that offense is just Andy Reid and Mahomes. I mean, and I think a lot of teams are very scared. Like, is this guy a boom or a bust as a head coach? Is this guy really a part of what makes the Chiefs, or is he just playing a role in a game? Kind of like the way Belichick coaches all of his coaches, how they go to other places and then end up failing. So I don't see him as that great of a head coach. Like I thought last year, I said it last year, I would have hired Brian Flores over Eric Bieniemy. I would have hired a lot of coaches over Eric Bieniemy just because I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what he brings that's different than what Andy Reid brings or what Mahomes puts a spotlight on. And Liam, what do you think about Eric Bieniemy?
I mean, I don't see him I don't see him being a great head coach. Like, his offensive style is so predictable. And, like, even like if you say, oh, what about the snow globe? He didn't come up with that. That was the players that went to him and were like, hey, let's run this. It would be cool. And most of the plays that get called are from Andy Reid. So I feel like you could plug anybody into that offensive coordinator role. Like, take our quarterback coach. We have Matt Nagy. plug him into the OC role, and we'll be just fine.
Yeah, the snow globe was funny. That live TV, I had no idea what I was looking at. I thought they were celebrating a first down or something, and I was that was the funniest thing I've seen in a while.
Still mad that it was a holding call, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's get to our game picks. This is the last thing we're gonna cover. Liam, Seahawks or 49ers? Who wins and why?
I have the 49ers. I mean, that defense, like we mentioned earlier, it's borderline unstoppable, that defense. And then just with the little offense that they can manage, it's the defense is going to be too much, and it's the Seahawks aren't going to be able to move the ball. And I mean, the past couple years, the Niners have owned the Seahawks anyway. So I'm like, why did that change when it matters?
Phil, what do you think?
So originally I had the 49ers because of the defense, but after really thinking about it, I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Just going to pick the upset right now, just get it out of the way. And it has nothing to do with the 49ers defense, obviously. I think it has everything to do with Brock Purdy. First career playoff game I know they're at home, but it's still an interdivision game where Liam even said if they were playing the Chargers, he'd be nervous because it doesn't matter how good you are and how bad they are. Division games never go how you plan them to go. I mean, we just got beat by the Lions. I never thought that would, and I don't mean just like, we got our asses kicked by the Lions, and I did not expect to get beat that badly by the Lions. So I think the Seahawks are going to pull it out. I think they're going to do just enough. I don't, it'll be close, but I think because Brock Purdy is going to be a little nervous going into the first career playoff game. I think that's why the Seahawks will win.
I do have the 49ers winning. It's one of those things where I don't know how the 49ers would lose. I'm just trying to think, like Geno Smith would have to play significantly better than he did the last two times. Geno's had a great year. A lot better than anyone would have thought. Nobody predicted this. And they gotta try to run the ball, and I don't expect them to do that against the Niners. I agree that I think Purdy. I don't know if Purdy is going to continue to play like he has the past couple of weeks, or is he finally going to hit ground zero? But I don't know how I can pick the Seahawks, so I'm going with the Niners. Phil, now we're on the Chargers or Jaguars. Who do you think wins this?
I think the Jaguars pull it out. And that's just, Brandon Staley is going to get in his own way, much like he did last week when he continued to play Mike Williams, even though the game was over, and now Mike Williams isn't playing tomorrow. So I think the Jags pull it out, not by a lot, but I think the Jaguars are going to win just because the Chargers offense is now missing a key piece.
Liam, what do you think?
See, I would love to pick the Jags since that's who I want the Chiefs to play next round, but I feel like the Chargers are still going to find a way to get it done because Herbert's a better quarterback than Lawrence, and even with Williams out, they still have Keenan Allen, Parham, Eckler. I think their offense will be just fine to squeak by against the Jags, who struggled to beat the Titans, who were limping their way to the finish line this year.
I've seen a lot of people pick the Chargers. I've seen many YouTube videos of people picking the Chargers. I think a lot of people look at the Chargers and think, wow, they have a great team. And they do. On paper, they got Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams when he's healthy. That was a dumb decision. You have Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James. This team could be a Super Bowl caliber team, and they're not because of Brandon Staley. And that honestly angers me they are one coach away from just being this great team, and they're being held back by that head coach. I'm not a fan of Doug Peterson, um, but I do think Doug Peterson's probably going to outcoach Brandon Staley, and that's why I'm picking the Jaguars to win. Now, Dolphins or Bills? Liam, who you think's going to win that?
This game's not going to be close. I know Tua's not playing, but it could have been Tua, Bridgewater, or Skylar Thompson. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be close. The Bills are just so much better, and their defense is better, their offense is better, special teams is better. It's just the Bills are going to walk to the divisional round. Like, they're going to win by multiple possessions.
Phil, how about you?
Yeah, it's the Bills. It's not even close with Tua out and Teddy out, and nothing against Thompson, but he's a rookie, I believe, this year.
Also from the Big 12.
There, there it is, right there. No, it's the Bills they're a stacked team. I think the only thing that they're really missing on offense is that running game. But like you said earlier, Jordan, they have Allen, and he's a dual threat. But I think the Bills win this one easily.
Yeah, I was putting together my predictions, and I'm gonna post an article after this talking about more in detail on my predictions for the entire playoffs. I was thinking Miami could win this and shock everybody if they stick with the run game. I've said it all year long. Buffalo's not going to win the Super Bowl if they can't run the ball. And they have not been able to run the ball. They haven't been able to stop the run at all this year. It's been awful. And Miami could really challenge the Bills by just running the ball. Just run the ball the entire game. Do what the Commanders did to the Eagles earlier in the second game this year. Just do that. Miami really could win this game, but it's the Bills at the end of the day. And I don't think the Dolphins. I like Mike McDaniel. I think he's cool. He's really grown on me, and I've talked to a lot of Dolphins fans who really like him. But I don't know if he's going to try and rely on that run game. So I do have the Bills winning. Now, the Giants or the Vikings, Phil?
Like I'm going to pick against the Vikings. Come on. No, I think the Vikings will win this one. I think it'll be close just like it was before. Unless, I've seen a lot of theories out there on Vikings Twitter about how Coach O'Connell said, went up to the DC and said, hey, we're going to run a really bland defense during the regular season, make people think we suck, and then once the playoffs hit, we're going to be completely different and shut them all down. That could happen. Not likely, but it could happen. I think the Vikings offense is obviously going to be the reason that we win. We'll get that one or two turnovers that we need because Daniel Jones is going to make a mistake and he's going to throw an interception. And then, we'll capitalize and we'll win that way. I don't think we'll have to win on a 61-yard field goal this time. I think we'll get that lead that we had in the first game, and our defense and offense will play more consistent than we did and bring us to victory.
Liam, how about you? Giants or Vikings?
See, this going off seeding is going to be my upset in the wild card. I feel like the Giants are going to just run it nonstop, not put the ball in Daniel Jones' hands to turn it over the two times that the Vikings are going to need. And I feel like, no offense, but I don't think the Vikings are as good as their record says they are.
Phil, how do you feel about that?
Everybody's been saying that. I have looked at everybody that has posted their predictions on the page. Nobody is picking the Vikings. I looked at the media. Nobody is picking the Vikings. You don't get to 13 wins by accident. You don't. Our offense is really good. Our offensive line, Bradbury's coming back. Yes, we're missing O'Neal, but Udo, along with, a little tight end help on that side, will be fine. Left side of our line is strong. Ed Ingram is, well, I mean, it's Ed Ingram. He likes to step on Cousins' feet. But our offense is good enough to beat the Giants. And Daniel Jones is going to be the reason that they lose because you can't, our run defense is better than our pass defense. And they're going to have to eventually pass the ball. And I just don't think Daniel Jones can get it done.
I will say this. I and this is like a sneak peek to my picks for the awards this year. I think Brian Dabble is the coach of the year. There's no reason the Giants should be in the playoffs. There really is no reason this team should be in the playoffs. But Brian Dabble is just really good. And I said it at the Eagles and Saints game. I said it in front of Eagles fans. I said I have Dabble as coach of the year. And people looked at me like I was nuts. But there's no reason the Giants should be where they are. And here they are. And just like all year long, why should I pick the Giants to win this game? I am picking the Vikings to win this game, but it wouldn't shock me if the Giants ended up winning because that's what they've done all year long. So, but I mean, I agree with you. I think Daniel Jones is going to be the reason that they end up losing this game. I just don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to have to go toe to toe with the Vikings offense. I'm not going to say Cousins. I'm going to say the Vikings offense. And I don't think he can do that. So I'm going Vikings. Now, Ravens or Bengals? Phil, what do you got?
I think the Bengals will win this one easily. They have a better defense. They have a better offense. We know that Jackson isn't playing, and Huntley he's serviceable, but he is a huge step down from Lamar Jackson. And I don't think it's going to be close because I don't think Huntley can do what Jackson does, and the Bengals offense is just they're amazing.
Liam, what do you think?
I agree with that. I feel like even if Jackson were to play, I would still pick the Bengals. Their Bengals defense is pretty good, and then their offense, you have Burrow, Mixon, Chase, even Higgins. Like, not many defenses are going to be able to stop all of those threats, and the Ravens won't. And like Phil said, it's not going to be close.
Yeah, I mean, this is my pure utter domination of the week. Not Dolphins or Bills, not Giants, Vikings, not any of those games. I think the Bengals absolutely stomp on the Ravens. No Lamar. I actually don't. I'm going back and forth on whether Lamar is doing this on purpose so they can get out of Baltimore or not, but I don't know. It's possible this is a very serious injury. A PCL injury is very serious, especially when you have there's a grade 2 injury, a possible grade 3. But I don't see the Ravens competing at all, regardless of who's at quarterback. I'm pretty sure Anthony Brown is probably going to be quarterback with Brett Hundley. I don't even think Tyler Huntley's still been injured, and I don't think he's going to be able to play either. If he does, great for the Ravens. It's better. That's a step up. But I don't expect this to be close. I think the Bengals end up dominating. Now, Monday Night Football, we got Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a sub-500 record playing the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott, who leads the league in interceptions. Liam, who do you think is going to win this?
I mean, on paper, the Cowboys win this easily. But you have to take into account Dak has the most interceptions and Tom Brady's on the other side. Tom Brady always seems to find a way to win big games, and I don't see that changing. I feel like Dak will turn the ball over one too many times, and Tom Brady's going to capitalize on that, and the Bucs are going to squeak by with the win.
Phil, how about you? Cowboys, Bucs.
Bucs. It's hard to go and choose against Tom Brady. I have no doubt that at some point this offseason the playoffs, I will have to, but I just don't think it's going to be this game. Tom Brady in the playoffs. I think it'll be close, but I agree with Liam. I think Dak is going to not necessarily get careless, but he's going to make one too many mistakes, and Tom Brady's going to make him pay for it, and they're going to end up winning.
Yeah, I mean, I have the Bucks winning. I think it'll be similar to how it was at the beginning of the year. Um, I Dak throws a lot of interceptions. The Cowboys need to not turn the ball over if they want to actually win this game, because they can go and win this game. Bucks are not going to be able to run the ball because they haven't all year. So it's going to be Tom Brady probably going and picking apart this entire defense, which the Cowboys have been very lackluster on pass coverage. So I expect Tom Brady to have a vintage moment in him and go and win this game.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. Any final words, Phil?
I'm excited for good games, and I definitely hope that they come this week. And go Vikings, obviously.
Liam, how about you? Any final words?
I mean, kind of same thing except the go Vikings part. Just glad the
You can
playoffs.
say go Vikings. It's okay.
Just with the playoffs starting, it's always a great time of year, and then some of these matchups in the playoffs are looking great, not just in the wild card, but just moving forward. And feel like it's going to be a great postseason and time to get Mahomes and the Chiefs a second ring.
All right, that's it for the video. Peace and love, and have fun, everybody.